So there's a few settings I don't see people using with the new motion matching with Unreal Engine 5.4. I wanted to just talk a little bit about that. So here's an animation I have, just an idle animation. And instead of having a left and right idle animation, you can just add a mirror data table here. So that would be under animation, mirror data table, and then just choose your skeleton. I'm using the SK mannequin. And when you do that, you go to your animation within your pose search database, and where it says original only under mirror option, just switch that to original and mirrored. And what you'll get, if you click off of it and click back, is a mirrored version of that same animation, which is helpful for not having a ton of animations in here. So as you can see, I only have the walk right, no need for any walk left. I do have the left pivot, not the right pivot. It just looks better, so that's the one I'll keep. I think I have, yeah, I do have the right pivot also. Yeah, so I do have both, using the Lyra animations. And then everything together, of course, looks like a mess, but here it is. The more animations, the better with this. As you can see, I don't have any diagonals, so there's nothing going on with that yet. But I suppose I'll just make my own animations. Here's a example. So I've got it switching back and forth between left and right animations, and within my pose search schema, I think that's how it's pronounced, that's where you'd set up the mirror table. So under mirror data table, you just want to go ahead and choose the one that you've created, or you can actually make one in here too, and choose a file that you want to put it in. So I've got everything in my motion file. And here's just a little bit of my settings for what I've got going on in the schema. Trajectory channel, 1.2. It doesn't really matter if it's over 1. It sort of does an average of it as long as you have normalized selected. Between 1.2, and then I've got the pose channel with a 0.2 for the weight. Crashing legs, to make sure that the legs don't cross whenever I'm turning around, which can become an issue. It's got a 0.5 weight, 0.5 allowed tolerance. And that's it. So with all of that, looks pretty good. Pretty much no work put in to get it to look this good. Usually you'd have to use a lot of animation blending and all that sort of thing, but didn't do much of that at all. In the blueprint, let's see, so I've got my normal locomotion, which is using the ground motion now, so I'm just keeping what Unreal Engine has going on with most of their animation blueprint. I like the way it's using the cache poses, so I'm still using that. And motion matching node pose history using a trajectory pen. Put that into the main state under locomotion. So I'm still using the same land logic and jump logic. Ideally, what I think you would do here is put in like a air pose search database or like a jump pose search database into your jump state, blend into it from your locomotion database, and then back to the ground. That would probably be the best bet. So right now I'm just still using the regular animations. But in the next video, I will have turn logic. So we will see if we can put those into the same pose search database so you can turn around. There's a pretty interesting way to do so. So inside of the pose search database, or inside of the animations in the pose search database, what you can do, let's pick up the walk animation, walk forward. So what I have here is a pose search modify. Let's go to it. Here it is. Pose search override base cost bias. And what this does is alters the cost bias for actually choosing that animation within the pose search database. So when it gets to that animation, when you are executing the conditions set in here, like let's say your trajectory is enough to choose a certain animation, you can alter the cost bias for that animation and say that it needs more of that trajectory in order for this animation to even be used. Negative values means it's easier for this animation to be called. Positive values makes it harder for the animation to be called. So what I have for the running animation is -0.1. So it's pretty easy for this animation to be called, slightly easy. And then as opposed to the idle animation, it's just a little bit easier, -0.12. I don't know the optimal values for these yet, and there's more technical ways that you can put these nodes on the animations. Obviously, you don't have to do it for the entire span, but for running and walking, I definitely did. For something like something a little bit more technical, like the pivot, where the character goes right and then left, I did a little bit more. So as you can see, pose search modify, and just for the beginning of it, it's a 1. So it's very difficult to go into the beginning of this animation. And the reason I did that is because the start of this does interfere with a lot of the walking animations and stuff like that, things that I don't want it to call for, like just regular walk left and regular walk right. So for the beginning of it, it won't, but if it notices that you do the pivot part of it, where you actually go back, I have the pose search modify at a -0.1, so a bit easier to call for this one. Same easiness to call this animation as the normal walk animation. So once it's in this part, it will actually switch to it if you're doing this pivot. And then now that you're back into the normal walk animation, well, walking right animation, and there's no longer any weird switches with the trajectory in the middle here, it'll go back to a 1. And I believe that's how you want to set up your animations when putting them into the pose search database for the best results. As you can see, I didn't really do much other than that, and I've got some really good results. So in summation, we have the mirror table, which is inside of the pose search schema. We also have some pretty normal things set up: trajectory, pose channel. I didn't do anything special with this, by the way, just both the feet and the pelvis. Crashing legs, I set up thigh L, R, both the feet. And then lastly, post search modifies, be in the notify state. You can also do things like exclude from database, block transitions. But I haven't used any of these yet. I'm sure that this would make the post search database look a lot better and have a lot more fidelity when it comes to the movements. But as you can see, just with using those overwrite cost bias nodes, it looks pretty good. And just stress testing it a bit, going left and right. Doesn't really have a lot of issues. I'm pretty satisfied with this. This is good. So we'll see how good it gets just using a little bit more of these nodes. I'll post an update for this. I will also post an update for the turn logic. And hopefully by that time I'll have everything together. Jump, turn, maybe some special things in the air, maybe some flips and things. I think it's definitely doable. So we'll see how it goes. If you did like the video, please like, subscribe. Let me know in the comments if you want to see something. If you have any questions, I'll definitely answer. Appreciate you watching.